So here's the meat before. So this is Costco. In total about two kgs. And this one is boneless beef short rib. That's the one I kind of like. So I slice the meat. It comes in these thick pieces, but because you don't want them this thick, this is about 2 inches thick. Slice them into about, half an inch. So about half an inch thick, or 1 inch thick. I'd say 1 inch, right? That way, at least when it don't take too long to dry, and the seasoning goes right in. Okay. So step 2 is you're gonna season with salt. So make sure you use this granular salt. There's a reason we have to use this salt here. So because it's just gonna sit in salt for about 30 minutes, and you're gonna rub the salt off. Okay, so don't use the normal salt, the fine salt. You have to use this granular salt because you have to remove it later. Okay. All right. So now that we cut it into strips, you're just gonna put the salt. Don't worry about putting, you can put, like I said, we're gonna remove most of this. It's just gonna sit in salt so that you're killing the, it's part of the curing process. Helps it not get mold or bacteria during the curing. So just like that, flip it. And when you're storing it, make sure you use plastic containers, because if you use any stainless steel containers or metal containers, that metal will actually ruin the taste of the meat. So we're gonna do that to all the meat, and I'll show you like I said, you wanna put it away. You don't have to put it in the fridge, you can just leave it in a container. So we'll do this, and I said plastic, we'll do it plastic containers. So put it like that, with the salt. So one of the main ingredients is your coriander. So for the 2 kgs of meat that I'm using, I'm going to use about 1.5 cups of coriander. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here, but because this is so much, you have to roast it for a little bit. So I'll take out half. That I'll do 3/4. At least I'll take out 1/4 of it. Then yeah, that way when you fry it, you just want to make it just nice and brown. When you start smelling it, then it's good. You don't have to over fry it. Okay. Zungu. So another thing you need is a grinder, because we're gonna have to grind all this coriander. You need a grinder, so make sure you have one of these. While the coriander is cooking, another thing you need is black pepper. So these are black peppercorns. These are ones I grind last time. So you grind them. So you use this grinder to grind the black peppercorns. All right. So you need one of these grinders to grind all your. So what I do is I grind the black peppercorn separately, because they're hard. they're harder than coriander. So I grind them first, and then I mix them into coriander, then I grind everything together. Okay. See, when you start to hear the coriander starting to pop, and you can smell it, it's nice and golden brown, you know it's good. It doesn't take long, like just a few minutes. You can tell the difference between the roasted one and the one that's not roasted. Then you know that this is good. So once it's good, we're gonna go over and put it into our... So at this time, we're gonna need some garlic and a teaspoon of brown sugar. And as you're grinding your coriander, you wanna add... So you want the coriander to be like browned, that way you don't see any full shells. And so not too powdery, but at the same time you want each of those coriander spices broken down, that way inside that's where the spice is. Okay, now we're gonna add some of that pepper, black peppercorn. No measurement, just by eye. Gonna add some garlic. Oh, half a teaspoon, just give it flavor. 3/4 of a teaspoon. And a teaspoon of brown sugar. Okay. Let me show you. So you got the black peppercorn, the brown sugar, and the garlic, and the coriander. You're gonna mix all that together. And at this time, if you want to add piri piri, this is the time where you'd add any piri piri, right? Okay, so it's been about 40 minutes, and now that it's set in salt, you're gonna take the salt off. Okay, after 40 minutes, you don't have to use water. You just rub the granular. That's why we use granular salt. So you just rub that salt off. See? Just like that. Do that to all of it. Okay, so once you've taken all the salt off the meat, you've rubbed the salt off, you come and you need some soy sauce, some Worcester sauce, some apple cider vinegar, all right? And a little brush to brush the meat with. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this contraption here. Take some apple cider vinegar. Should be enough there. Okay. Get some Worcester sauce. This is to get some soy sauce. All right. The sauce onto the meat. Just mix it up, make sure it's nice and mixed. And our meat here. Lay it all out. You want to make sure you cover. Are you writing your words, Tristan? Just like that. So this is to keep, you know, all that food flies and any bacteria or any insects, because you got, and the soy sauce just gives it some flavor. I mean, the spices give it the most flavor. But by the way, here's all the spices after they're ground out. See, it's still flaky, but still, you know, you grind it out. So make sure you cover the whole, every area of the meat. Hopefully this is going to turn out good. Like I said, I did a few batches, and this is my favorite because this one worked out very well. I've tried out a few recipes. Some people leave it sitting in vinegar for a while. I just put it in, rub it in like this, and that's it. So now I'm gonna put it aside, put it back in the container. Okay, so one of the good things about, you know, the spice is once you mix it, even if you mix too much, you can always just, you know, close it in a Ziploc bag and save it for next time, right? If the stuff is so good, there's always going to be next time. So I'm going to start by using this. I'm getting ready to start mixing now. So first thing we're going to do is our meat's been sitting, like we just put the vinegar on it, and so here's my hooks. I'm gonna get them ready. What I do just to sanitize them is just boil some water, some hot water, and just wanna soak them in boiling water. That way, the last thing you want is any bacteria going on your meat or building up on your meat. With that said, we're gonna get the box ready. So here's the box. And I want to make sure I put some foil on the bottom, because for the first day you're gonna have the meat's gonna be dripping, right? So you want to put some foil down there. That way you don't have to clean the box, but you can at least just remove the foil. Okay. Okay, so now the box is ready and we can start prepping our meat, and I'll be happy. So what I do is, because there's some excess vinegar on it, and I want my meat to taste like vinegar, I just dab it with a paper towel before I spice it up. Just dab it, just to ensure that your meat is not gonna be all vinegary. And I mean, it only sat there for like 10 minutes while I got ready, while I prepared everything. So I'll put a few more here. Okay, just so you can see what I'm doing here. So you coat the whole and make sure you coat the whole thing. Some of it's gonna fall off. Just put it on there. And you obviously flip it. Make sure you get that aside. Yeah, make sure you get to the ends as well. And the reason I do that, because I know some of it's gonna fall off, so I try to, keep as much of it on there. Okay. Okay, we're ready for our hooks. You take one of the hooks. You poke the meat, and you want to care to see your height of your meat. Your meat can't be touching the bottom of your bucket. So there you go. That one's too long, so you want to make sure you poke your meat where your meat's not going to touch the bottom. All right, and your meat can't be touching each other when it's inside the barrel. It shouldn't be touching each other, right? So you just want to make sure you poke your meat at a point where this height here is not going to be too long. So when it sits in there, it needs to sit freely and not touch any other meat and not touch any part of the box. All right. So it's normal that when you're done, you have lots of this, and obviously it's garbage because you've used it for seasoning the meat. So toss that. Like I said, coriander is like the salt bag, $4. So this is the batch here. Once it's all in there, nicely spaced out, as you can see, nothing's touching anything else. It's not touching the bottom of the barrel. It's not touching the rest of the meat. It's not touching each other. All right. So that's how you want it. You let this sit for a few days, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. You guys have seen what it looks like when it's done, but yeah, I'll show you guys an update once it's all done. All right. Okay.